Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm popping in here right after class with my beautiful team member, Master Coach Joe Young. And we literally just hopped on here and started to just talk and smile, and our hearts were full. And there was so much that took place in class today. And I said, wait, just stop. Let's just save it. Let's record it. Let's just talk about it and let's share it. And right before we got on, I just want to read a quick text that I got from someone who was in the room today in class. And this is in capital letters. Oh my God, what a class. This is what every woman who says no misses out on. And it was an amazing class. And we never know where class is going to go because we never know where life is going to take us from one day to the next, especially when we're in a divorce, where there's a lot of twists and turns. And as I always say, there's so much that goes on in the in-between moments, the in-between all the big things like the meetings with your attorney or the court dates or the filings. There's so much life that happens in those spaces in between. And that is what gets unpacked in class because a mama going through divorce is going to have a lot of things coming up, a lot of feelings, a lot to process, a lot of big decisions. She's worried about her kids, she's worried about her future. And as we say over and over, it matters what condition she's in while she's facing all that. And I know that's very overwhelming. That construct is something that sounds, yeah, Kristen, that's wonderful. That sounds like a Hallmark greeting card. How am I going to fit that in? The answer is you're going to find out a way. You're going to figure out how to fit it in because it's going to transform everything every day, every week, every month until you get to the finish line of this divorce. And it also transforms your life, transforms the way you bump up against life adversity, transforms how you are teaching your children to navigate. And that's actually the way this class started today because we have one mama in the container who is a teacher. And she was talking about a really tough thing that happened in her life. And then she said, but it's so wonderful to be surrounded by a whole school of like little kids because what they do is they just gather around you and they want to give you a hug. And it's just kind of the way it opened this all up today. And it was a beautiful, beautiful celebration of what it means to lean into what you need, the support you need, the emotional support you need, the physical support you need, and all of it so that you can show up to get through this period. So there was just so much, right, Joe? We were just like,
So much. I mean, from start to finish. And one of the things that you began with was talking about this concept of how to approach things with a loving energy, right, in your life. And I was struck afterwards going person to person to person as these mamas were sharing how much they have leaned into learning how to love themselves so differently. We each of them have been in the program for a bit. Well, the ones that spoke later, and we were reflecting back on, think about where you were 3 months ago. Think about where you were 4 months ago, even a few short weeks ago
mhm,
sometimes.
mhm.
You know, when you are learning day in and day out how to love and to trust yourself with a tender heart, it's like what occurs is mind blowing, truly.
And also it's amazing because we talked a lot about this notion of bless and release.
Mm.
And this notion of love energy. And mark my words, this is not woo-woo stuff. This stuff is hard. It's like love energy sounds like, oh, everything. It's not being a doormat. Love energy is really being conscious of how you want to feel in your body, how you want to feel in your life, how you want to feel in your house, how you want to feel in relationship to others, how you want to feel. And sometimes it takes us a little while to catch up. Sometimes we don't even realize, we don't even have to be in a traumatic event like a divorce. And we have this low grade energy going in the background, dulling us, dulling us, dulling us until finally we wake up one day and we're like, what happened? Where did I go? Where
Yeah,
did
I
all
don't
of,
even know myself anymore
right,
or
right.
recognize myself anymore.
And the timing is really different for everyone. And the women in this container, I mean, today we had a lot of celebrations. We didn't even know what was going to hit us when we went in there today. And they're facing tough stuff and they're making tough decisions and they have different circumstances and they have different timelines. But we had one mama who had a surprise relationship evolve and she was coming alive again. And we had another mama who really leaned into her creative work and has been really thriving. And it's very easy for someone to say, like, wait a minute, I got to take care of this task first and that task first, and I got to go to court and I got to, it's like, this notion of I have to put life on hold, but you don't. You don't. Yes, you're going to have to show up for certain things, but you know what? You can show up for yourself. And that's the most loving thing to do. So when you show up for yourself and you allow love to come back in, when you allow joy to come back in, when you allow aliveness to come back in, when you allow your creativity to come back in. We had another woman just tell us that she's pulling the trigger tomorrow and making a big decision, filing. And we have just, stood beside her along the way, honoring her timing, what needed to be in place, what she had to do to feel comfortable to do that. But she is more than ready. And on top of it, it's her birthday. What better way to lean in and celebrate yourself than by honoring yourself, honoring your needs, putting yourself back into your equation? And we hear this all the time with women who are worried about the things they can't control. For example, I can't control the way my ex parents in his house. And we had a lot of talk around that today.
Yeah, that's kind of how we started the class today.
Hmm.
And bringing this mama back to what she has agency over, which is what she's dripping into her kids, which is how she's responding to the things that she's seeing, which is being there for her children in her way that her ex isn't capable of doing.
Hmm.
And, she started it by saying, I feel so helpless when I see these things. And it's like, oh, no, 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 mama. You are incredibly powerful and an incredible influencer for these children by what you are learning about yourself and therefore able to drip into these kids. And
Hmm.
it's why I loved the text that you got after class, because it was not only about the celebration piece, but also if you don't say yes to you, these are the things you miss out on.
Hmm.
How to become a different drip, how to
Hmm.
become a different influence, how to let go of the things that you don't control, how to learn to step in and like yourself and love yourself again, and how to remember the essence of who you were and what brought you aliveness.
I loved how you brought that, me and my metaphors. I loved that metaphor you brought in about the drip because we are often attached to the outcome of an action we take. We want to see the results immediately. We want to know that we imparted change. We want to control, the narrative. But when we take right action for the right reasons, from our heart, from our intuition, because we're aligned with it, because it feels good, because it feels right, then it is right. And we release it, we bless it, and we release it. And so Joe's metaphor about the drip is, and I learned this recently from a gardener, that it actually the most effective way, it's true, the most effective way to nurture your garden is to drip water, drip, 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 like water every day, like a water, an irrigation system. And it's just this consistent drip, like not being attached to the outcome. I'm nurturing, I'm showing up, I'm putting into the world what I want to put into the world, and I'm releasing it and blessing it, and I'm hoping that it lands. But we don't know how someone else is going to receive that. But we know that we're nurturing something. This is what happens with people around you. When you show up in the best way possible for your children, that's what they're going to feel. That is nurturing them. That is showing up for them. That is being a great mom. That is being a great loving human being. And you can do that in divorce.
Yes. And the thing is, we're always dripping into our children.
Hmm.
We've been dripping into them since the day that they were born, you
Hmm.
know? So it's a matter of what do you want to be dripping into them? And
Hmm.
that has to start from you. You're the source always. And so, this mama learning and growing and learning how to set boundaries and approach things in such a different, calm, regulated place with her kids is now what she's going to get to drip in. And I don't ever want anybody to underestimate that because it's never too late when you have children. It's never too late. It requires a conscious decision to say, I want to drip in something different than what I have been dripping in the past. And that's why
Hmm.
this program is so fundamental, not just to getting through your divorce. Certainly, there's that. But it's also what you are creating for your future and for generations to come. And we don't want anyone to miss out on that.
And I love navigating these conversations with mamas and helping them reconsider what they could say, how they could approach it. Yeah, look, you're going to come up against some things that you're not going to like. Of course, you're not going to like the way it's something's going on over there in the other house. You don't control it. Barring it being an emergency or someone getting injured or hurt, there's nothing you can do. So it can leave you feeling powerless, but that's not the case. It is so not the case. What you do in your house, in your relationship with your kids, the conversations you have, the curiosity that you have, the tools that you give them, even if they roll their eyes at you, they think, oh, here goes mom again, you are dripping into them. You are nurturing them. You are honoring and empowering them. And it is planting these little seeds. We just can't be attached to it, but know that that is just so essential and it is such an incredible gift. And so, in this container where, yes, we are honoring what comes up for mamas, their feelings, their pain, we also really strategically work through how to approach these conversations, how to work with their children, how to work with their family, how to work with their coworkers, how to work with their ex, their lawyer, whatever it may be. It's so important to get this support.
Yeah, it really is. And I go immediately in my thought process as you're talking about this to the mama who's planning to file tomorrow.
Hmm.
And she feels so ready
Hmm.
and so prepared and so, obviously it's an ending, so it comes with many things, but she's flushed out those feelings. We flushed them out with her. And she is ready. She is standing in her power. She made the comment today, I wouldn't be here without this group. And I believe in a lot of ways that is true.
Hmm.
She has gotten what she has needed to reach this point to be able to make this choice and decision in her full power. And there was huge celebration behind her
Hmm.
in going forward with that.
And
And
conviction and strength, right? There was just,
yes,
she's, when
yes.
you see, and listen, we are never pushing anyone to do anything when they're not ready to do it, but we're going to hold you accountable and we're going to walk beside you. And when you wobble, we're going to push you back up and we're going to hug you when you need to be hugged. But this is a time to lean into yourself. This is a time to lean into what you need. And I promise you, you may have the best attorney out there, but your attorney is not a support pillow. And there is so much that's going to happen in between. And we're not making light of the process, but we do want you to know that all this is coming up for you because you're ready to see it and you're ready to heal it. And it is an opportunity right here, right now. And it was interesting when we were looking around the room today and we were celebrating these various wins. The notion that came to me was that it really was walking mamas back to themselves like a
Mm-hmm,
homecoming. And
mm-hmm,
that is why it feels so good because we started the conversation by saying we get to this place where we wake up one day and we don't even recognize who's staring back at us in the mirror. The reason this feels so good is because now these women are looking in the mirror and it's like, hell yeah, I remember her. She's back. It's a homecoming. It's a homecoming
yes.
back to the things that light you up. We are meant,
Mm,
we are meant to be alive, to feel vibrant and joyful and connected, in community, in connection to our inspiration, to our creativity, to our love.
mm. Yeah. And I'm struck with it being the fall, it being a season of change. There's so many things up that we talked about today. And at the end of the day, you need to find the pockets of beauty and joy and celebration and all of that amidst the different things that are going on that feel chaotic and difficult. And so, learning how to give yourself permission to even tap into that side of you again is huge. And so, we don't let any of these things go uncelebrated. It's like, yes, you're giving yourself permission to actually be happy, even in the middle of a really hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is beautiful. And we talked about that drip. You want to talk about dripping into your kids? They are witnessing all of that. Then
Mm-hmm.
they feel the permission to also be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so profound when a woman steps up and remembers herself, comes back home to
Mm-hmm.
herself, and remembers the things that bring her joy, and then give herself permission to be able to step back into that. There's just nothing better. It's really incredible.
We could talk for hours about this. It's so powerful. And that same mama that was worried about what she couldn't control, she was also having a moment where she just had to sit in the discomfort of not being able to fix something for one of her kids. And we went back and forth a little bit about it, because sometimes mamas are like, "Oh, I'm going to put a paste on a happy face." And I said, "You know what? Feeling and revealing this to your children is a part of being, showing them how to be a human being and normalizing that feelings matter and that we have days. Now, I'm not talking about unpacking all your feelings about your ex in front of your kids, but I'm just saying she couldn't comfort her son to the extent that she could make this issue go away. And we just said, what if instead you just say, I'm here. Can I just hold you? Can I just hug you? Like, I see you. I'm here. I'm with you. I know this is tough to navigate between two houses, but we're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out. But the reason we don't want to just paste on a happy face is because then our children will do the same. The message they are downloading is it is unsafe to express my feelings. It is unsafe to have feelings that I don't want to feel.
Yes, and I'm going to make a really bold statement. The number one gift you can give your children is to show them that it's safe to feel, that there are safe, appropriate ways to be a feeling human being, because then they can deal with anything. And so when you sit beside someone and say, just can I hold you?
Hmm.
There's nothing to be fixed. You're
Hmm.
not trying to push it away. You're giving them the acknowledgement that what they are feeling matters and it's okay. And that's the truth.
Well, you were dropping truth bombs all day, but you also said feelings are not meant to be fixed.
Yeah,
Feelings are not meant to be fixed.
they're meant to be
That,
felt, not
yeah,
fixed.
exactly. And dear sweet mama, whether you have initiated this divorce or you're divorce curious or you're in the middle of one or it's been dropped in your lap, the same goes for you. Your feelings are not meant to be fixed, they're meant to be felt. So please, no matter what you do, no matter what you take away from this conversation today, please honor your feelings. And remember, in honoring your feelings, you're teaching your children to do the same. And this is what the women who are leaning in and saying, God, this is a little bit inconvenient right now, but I need support. I want to show up so that I can show up in the best possible condition for this divorce, for myself, for my kids, for my future. And that's what the core tenet of an intuitive divorce is. Mark my words, it's strategy. We discuss strategy up, down, all around, but we make sure that you're in that equation. And this is what women who are divorcing differently are doing. This is the way you divorce smarter, you heal faster, you protect your kids, and you reclaim your life. And
Mm.
that is possible. We see it every day. It fills my heart. Literally, I think we just like came out of that class today. I'm like on cloud nine. And I think, how is it that I'm coming out of a divorce class on cloud nine? But that's what's happening because transformation is upon you. So we really encourage you to lean into the notion of that. I know this is hard. I know this is emotional. I know this is overwhelming, but there are so many ways to do this. And there is a better path to a better divorce, and it starts here. And if you'd like to check out our work, please head over to our website, intuitivedivorce.com. Also, our social media platforms, again, Intuitive Divorce, and check out our app. And we're constantly, constantly putting out programs and ways to support you on this journey. You are not alone.
Yes. And as I'm left in this moment of celebration with so many of these mamas today, it leads me to want to say, that can be you. In just a short time, we can be sitting here celebrating you on the other
Mm,
side of that. And
mm.
it's a choice. So we're here for it.
Look at
We're
us
here
both
for
wearing our hearts today, can you say?
it.
I was like, we coordinated. We're wearing our hearts on our necks. And we are sending that love energy to you. And we
Mhm.
hope that in some way, shape, or form, this has reached your heart and sparked you to believe, as Joe just said, that this is possible for you. Thank you for bringing that up. And a
Yeah,
gorgeous class. Oh my gosh.
touches our heart too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did I get that right? There you go.
You too.
Mwah.